Okay.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Yolo County Fire Safe Council meeting for Wednesday, August 26th. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, if you'd update your name with your affiliation or put it in the chat, it'll make life easier for tracking the participation. But the first item we have, or the second item now that we've called the meeting to order, is to approve the agenda for this meeting, which was in an email from this morning or last Thursday from Tanya. So look for a motion in a second unless there's any changes.
Jack, I'll make a motion.
Was that a motion I heard?
I wasn't quite sure. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Make a motion.
Okay.
then I'll second it then.
Got a motion and a second. I don't think we have any other discussion. It was kind of quiet, so I'll call the question. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, the motion passes. Item 3, which is to approve the minutes from July 29th. And that was sent out last week, and hopefully everybody had a chance to review those and note if there's any corrections, and if there are, please speak up. If not, a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the July 29th meeting.
Don't be bashful. I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor, approve the minutes from July 29th, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Hearing no opposition, that passes as well. All right, we're on to any member announcements or news that won't get covered elsewhere.
Well, I'll just introduce Lori Clipp, who's from the Napa Firewise, who's here, our neighbor to the east. So we're happy to see her. She's stepping in where Sherry Gardner was.
Hello, all, and thanks for the invitation. Yes, we are currently going to be refilling our county coordinator position. We haven't posted that yet. I'm hoping to post that in the next week. I oversee our wildfire preparedness function, including our fire safe councils, and just really interested in more opportunities to partner across county lines. I think it's so important. And so just wanting to learn more and engage more with Yolo and understand opportunities. And I've been, having conversations with Tanya. So really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Well, I think that might be all for members' announcements. So we're now on to item 5, the presentation on the Yolo County Resilience Collaborative.
Okay, we have the amazing Kate Reza here from my office, who is going to give us a little update on that, staying on the theme of resilience and resilience centers. So last month we had Gretchen, who's also here. Thank you for being here, Gretchen. And then we've also got our folks from the Western Yola Grange and Rumsey Improvement Association, Rumsey Community Center. So Kate's sharing her screen, so I'm just going to turn it over to her. Don't forget to unmute, Kate.
Yep. Can you all see my screen? And it's not December 11th, 2025. I'm using somebody else's slides. Just in case there was confusion about that. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about the Yolo County Regional Resilience Collaborative. And the first thing I want to say is that nothing is being requested of the Fire Safe Council. This is informational only of another group of organizations that are dealing with climate-related issues in Yolo County. So this is the group. It's made up of it's a partnership that uniting local governments, tribes, nonprofits, and academic institutions, that is UC Davis, to enhance climate resilience in the county. And this convening is supported by the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovations Regional Resilience Planning and Implementation Grant Program. It's in its very early stages. We are just developing ground rules and the charter documents in order to really get going. We are looking to build a concrete structure for collaboration, building on existing partnerships and trying to forge new ones, specifically uniting kind of the collaborative organizations, the community-based organizations with the more institutional organizations like cities and the county and the RCD. We're, like I said, almost there with our governance structure. We have developed a needs assessment that led to prioritization of some shovel-ready projects that I'll talk about in a minute. Long-term goals are to pursue funding to implement those shared priorities, and they include climate resilience projects in vulnerable communities, sharing knowledge, and increasing the capacity of both public agencies and community-based organizations. And here's the group. It's, as you can see, it's community-based organizations and then cities in the county. The tribe is participating, and so are we. And the county of Yolo is really the spearhead of the whole drive. We went through and developed key resilience themes. This slide is a lot. It focused the attention of the group on what's important and what we wanted to make sure we included. So agriculture is in there, collaboration, the economy, education, energy, hazards, land, protecting and restoring natural lands, food, transportation, trees, carbon sequestration, waste, and water in two ways to both conserve it and reduce groundwater overdraft. And so we conducted a needs assessment and went through, identified those key themes that were in the last slide, gathered, convened the community for a workshop where we gathered more information, and then we synthesized those two items and came up with countywide resilience needs. And we also prioritized about 7 or 8 projects for further development, and those you see on the screen in front of you. The YCRRC operations and capacity building is just trying to keep this group going. The energy partnership provides incentives for people to upgrade their homes for energy efficiency. Tree Canopy Initiative is all about planting trees. Climate Ready Communities is just that, trying to get the communities climate ready. Resilience Centers, that has funding going on. There's, I don't know how to go backwards from here. Okay, so the other ones were, sorry about this. The CAP implementation on natural and working lands, that's work that the RCD is doing, and then flexible funding, public incentive, and then ZEB implementation is has to do with reducing greenhouse gases from vehicle miles traveled and includes bike share programs and programs for electric bikes. So just a lot going on, several projects that we're right now trying to fund. Two applications are being developed. One is for the resilience centers, and the other is an extreme heat grant. Different organizations can apply to become members of the Yolo Resilience Collaborative. We're going to be going into a membership drive soon. And if your organization is interested, lots of ways to get involved. And that's it. That's all I've got for you. Does anyone have any questions? You can either contact Kristen Wraithwall at the county, who is, as I said, the head, or me, because I just gave you this presentation and I'm a member. There are also several committee members here today. Gretchen James can answer questions. I don't know if Sarah Morgan's on the call, but she's also one of the representatives. And that's it. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Well, I'm interested in resilience centers. So can you talk a little bit more about what you guys have are moving forward with that?
Sure.
Or is that premature?
No, we just went through, we just had a meeting before this meeting, and I anticipated that I'd get asked. This application is a countywide network strategy, and it's a planning grant. It's for predetermined sites and up to 2 others. And the predetermined sites are West Sac, Davis, Esparto, and Dunnigan, and 2 emerging sites. And what will come out of that is a 30% design for up to 4 community resilience centers. So the Capay Valley does not fall into that. They are in the extreme heat grant. Jesse, I think I was told that Jesse gave a talk at the last Fire Safe Council meeting about the extreme heat grant. Someone said that. Did he?
He's just mentioning
sorry.
getting funding.
Pardon? Okay. So
Yeah, Jesse had talked to me about applying for that. We're supposed to get together, knock our heads together and try and figure something out.
okay, so he has been working with the Regional Resilience Collaborative. So that extreme heat grant may include the Capay Valley Fire District facility. It's an implementation grant, so the Grange Hall is not a feasible location because of their ownership requirements of the grant, which are complicated. And Jesse's working on that too. And yeah, that's what I know about those applications, but they're both going forward. I'm in that group promoting the Capay Valley every time it comes up. And there's just some limitations on these grant guidelines that make it impossible to promote what we're looking at for the Capay Valley Fire District and the Grange Hall in Glinda. But that doesn't mean we've stopped looking. And it doesn't mean I'm not pushing that every time I can. So yeah, James, I see you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just curious, individuals can't join?
It's more for organizations than individuals. So if you're interested, there are at least yearly public gatherings where we let people know what we're doing and then ask for input at that time. So And if you'd like to know more, you can always reach out to me or to Kristen, and we will be figuring out how to get the interested public involved more. But at this time, it's one yearly gathering and then newsletters and that sort of thing. But
Thank
definitely,
you.
if you're interested, let me know and I'll keep you in the loop.
Thanks.
Hey, would it make sense for the Fire Safe Council to be a member?
Huh, I'm not sure. I hadn't thought of that. It's generally institutions, but it might make sense. Let's talk about that and you can potentially bring it up to the Fire Safe Council. Organization, there is a membership fee associated with
Okay.
it's being a member. And I'm not sure how something like the Fire Safe Council would fold into that. So we'd have to talk about it, but definitely something to think about. And I can always update you through the meetings too on what's going on.
Okay, yeah, you seem like a good, good to keep us informed. And in the chat, Eric Segura is asking where the Resilience Center might be in Dunnigan.
I don't know that it's at the planning stage right now. I did ask if we had access to the applicant. We're just writing an application to get the grant to do the planning. So I don't even know if they've got a site in mind. It's just Dunnigan's been identified as a place for a resilience center. So if you'd like, Eric, I can find out and ask. I don't even have access to the application because I wasn't on that committee. It's kind of out of I know there's a lot of interest in it, in this group, but it's kind of out of the RCD's wheelhouse too. It's a little far afield from natural resources and ag. So, but I'll look into it and get back to you, Eric, through Tanya.
Okay, and Sarah also says she'll look it up and put it in the chat.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Sarah. Well, let me know, Tanya, if she doesn't get it, and then I'll pursue that tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks, Sarah.
So I'll just jump into, thanks, Kate, for that presentation. Really helpful. I've been in some of the application meetings because we were considering a potential site, which we're not going to, but Sarah may be able to correct this if I'm wrong, but I think it's a very complex application. Talking to Kristen and some of the grant writers, like this is the most complex resilience center application the state has put out. And their hope is that they're going to put this countywide application together with multiple potential locations as the planning. The state may approve the application, but may not approve all of those locations, being included in the planning process. So there could be locations that are put in the application that the state then comes back and says, yeah, we're going to approve your application, but we're going to choose these 2 or 3 versus the 7 that you have listed out here. I missed, I think, the last meeting. So Sarah, I don't know if that's still accurate based on the status of that approach.
Yeah, I mean, so as Kate mentioned, we're putting in for 4 existing or soon to be existing facilities to do the full feasibility assessment for. The challenge was that it's Strategic Growth Council's funding, and they were very, very specific on what they would fund as an eligible location. And so, as Kate mentioned, it unfortunately excluded all of Cape Bay Valley. But that being said, part of our assessment is not only looking at these specific facilities, but also trying to establish what it means to be a resilience center and what sort of services and operations are required, because the different state agencies that are providing funding have different requirements. Like some of them, it has to be available 24/7 during emergency and provide services. So I think, that larger context would be helpful for locations that might not be included specifically in the analysis, but just understanding what it would take to be a resilience center versus maybe it makes more sense to be a cooling center. But yeah, I mean, as far as the group is concerned, and you're absolutely right, Ian. It's been the most onerous application process ever. But as far as the group is concerned, we're using this as much as we can as an inroad to be looking at these other locations as well, because the group very much understands there's a need in the Cape Bay Valley. And so, to the extent possible, if we get the funding that we can use it to be assessing locations outside of the four, we will be, but it will ultimately depend on what the Strategic Growth Council says we can do.
The application is at 55 pages, I was told today. So it's, yeah, it's substantial.
Golly, okay. Well, thank you. Does anyone have any other questions about this?
Yeah. No.
We're definitely taking steps in that direction.
We'll keep looking and we'll keep trying.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Trying to understand how all the pieces fit together. And there's a lot of overlap, which is good. So do we, so Megs and Kathy are here if we want to talk about their estimates or if they have any updates. I know last meeting we had lots of speakers and ran out of time. So I would like to give them a chance. I've got the spreadsheets up if you want to look at them and if there's anything to add or if there's any more information that folks want to ask the Western Yolo Grange or the Rumsey Improvement Association. We can start. Got my Western Yolo Grange budget so far.
Right. And I'm sorry, Tanya, I don't have too much to add to it
Okay.
this time around. Like I said, we kind of talked to Jesse about that resilience thing, but you have to figure out who actually owns the Grange, which I sent the information back to the Grange and did not
Okay.
get a great answer. The building itself. So we were looking at that and then looking at the options of having it with a smaller tank as opposed to the larger tank, grant wise, funding wise. But still just going to push forward for the moment and get the rest of the budget in place, get some more ideas on it.
Okay, that sounds good. And then I noticed both the generator is $24,000. Is that, obviously it's not a nice Honda generator that you can get for a couple thousand.
So you're talking about the whole building
The-
or whole house generator by Generac? Yeah.
Yes.
That's a pretty standard cost out here.
Okay.
That is a local contractor and that's a pretty going rate. That's what mine cost on my house because the power goes out every other day.
Yeah, and it's a propane generator?
Yes. And then you have the
Okay.
propane cost on the annual.
Right. Okay. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about what we have so far for Megs? Okay, and then my other tab is what the Rumsey has so far. Same price for the Generac. And then they have a mini split. Don't have a price for the water storage air filter, which is an excellent idea. So Kathy, are you still on?
Yes, I'm on. I don't have any updates, but I'm happy to answer any questions or clarify anything.
Folks have any questions? Okay, well, hopefully when the planning grants can help with this as well, because one of the things that I was thinking looking at this spreadsheet is like, well, yeah, that's a lot of money, but who's going to manage the project to get stuff in correctly? So This is out of our wheelhouse at the RCD, and so we're just taking steps in that direction.
And the Grange has been on hiatus for the summer. We are going to have our first meeting again here in September. So
Okay.
I'll be taking it to them to discuss and
Oh, awesome.
see if we
Okay.
can actually put a group behind it as opposed to just me.
Just you.
So we'll be firing back up here in September.
Awesome. And then Kathy, is there the same questionable ownership with the Rumsey Hall?
The Rumsey Improvement Association owns Rumsey Hall.
Oh, very good.
We don't have very much property around the hall. So I think that the water storage is a great idea, and I would be super happy to pursue that. But we would need to get an easement or a lot line adjustment from a neighbor
Okay.
in order to install water storage tanks.
Right. Okay. I do recall. Yeah, that's actually in the notes. Okay. And then continuing on Resilience Centers, Sarah put the locations in the chat. West Sacramento, Esparto, Dunnigan, 3817 First Street. And then the Walnut Park Davis Library, which I think is the new one. Thank you, Sarah.
No problem. Incorrect. It's the new library in Davis.
Okay. Any other thoughts on resilience centers? It appears like most things, it's more complicated than one would think. All right, I think we can do reports then. I don't see our battalion chiefs from CAL FIRE, but there are some CAL FIRE staff on the call. If either of you would like to pop in and give us a little update of things that might be relevant to the high fire areas of the county.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Aston, Battalion Chief, CAL FIRE.
Hi, Tony.
There's not a lot of activity going on currently for the state of California for state fires. We currently have 31 engines back in the unit. So all of our fire engines are in Sonoma Lake Napa. That is all.
Excellent. Thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. Christopher.
Yes, hello everyone.
OAS.
A quick update. So we did have our second Disaster Service Council meeting August 13th. There's a lot of great discussion that happened at group. And a lot of things that we'll be working on tackling as we move forward with this Disaster Service Council. And we're excited for the great work and great discussion that we'll be taking a deeper dive into as we meet quarterly for the next year. And I believe our next meeting will be sometime November. The date hasn't been finalized yet, but once it does, we'll go ahead and share it out with the group here as well. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm actually was at attendance at the suggestion of several folks here, Elaine, and I think Kate Laddish probably suggested that the Fire Safe Council be present, and it's a really great opportunity to be able to interact with their fire chiefs, and and the Cape Valley will be represented also by Sivera. So yeah, it's also going to be a good place for me to get input about CWPP Community Wildfire Protection Plan updates and information as well. So it's a nice crossover. So thanks for the invitation. On to RCD reports. So every month I always have the wildfire awareness signs, and just so you know, we haven't given up. The contractor who we were working with didn't have the correct license to do sign installations, so he is going to subcontract, but that person has to apply for a business license to operate in Yolo County. So permitting. But we're going the right direction every month. I make some phone calls and it takes a few more baby steps forward. And then in terms of project planning, folks up in Rumsey know about the wall of Arizona cypress on the west side of Highway 16. I'm hoping to meet in the next couple weeks with the scheduling captain of the Delta Camp crew to start doing some limbing and thinning out there, pending the local battalion chief's approval. But we're also working, I think I mentioned last month also, but we're getting closer to this, is working with the Sacramento camp or base or headquarters of the California Conservation Corps and having them out there as well or instead of the Delta camp. Because it's not, it's just limbing and thinning and chipping a bunch of vegetation. And then we're also working with the Stockton Conservation Corps Center. As I mentioned before, we don't have dates for any of this yet, and the Sacramento Center is not a sure thing. That's an application. But I did an application with the Stockton one to do at the confluence of Dry Creek and Puda Creek in winters to do some vegetation work, whatever that looks like. It might be weed whacking. It could be some limbing, thinning, and chipping. Hopefully we'll meet out there with Chief Snyder to prioritize when we have more information or a timeline from the Conservation Corps. And the Sacramento Conservation Corps team will also be doing a little maintenance on the Dry Creek site that we worked so hard to do a shaded field break there, and we want to keep that stuff under control, especially since a lot of it was invasive trees and shrubs. So that is my project report along with the coordinator report that I sent out last week. Does anyone have any questions on projects that are coming up? Good, okay. The next item is grant updates, and actually Kate is here if you would like to do that. Grant update, Kate? If you have wandered off, I can give a little update, which is actually oh, go ahead.
Missed that. What did you need?
Oh, I'm just looking at the agenda, and usually I give the grant updates, but since you're here, I wondered if you would like to do it.
Oh, sure. So we heard back from our two Oops. Instead of turning on my video, I turned off my audio. Okay, here we go. We heard back from our we applied to two different CAL FIRE wildfire resilience landscape resilience grants. One was through the California Association of Resource Conservation Districts, and that focus was rural roads. And that was not called back for a full application. And then we also applied as members of the Intercoast Collaborative together with the ICC for funding to fund some of the projects coming up. And that as well, that was not called back for to submit a full proposal. So the one we have outstanding right now is the CAL FIRE Wildfire Prevention Grant that we submitted either late July, was it late July, early August?
Early July.
Early July, okay. It is still, we still haven't been notified about that, and we probably won't hear until November, I think, October.
Or December. Yeah, it's winter.
So, okay, so that's where we are with those three. And then I think that's it for now for fire-related grants and the RCD.
Excellent. Thank you.
And if you need assistance, if you're going to apply for one of those smaller grants that comes around and you need assistance, I'm available to help out.
Thank you. So Allie is not here today, so I'm going to give the Prescribed Burn Association update, which there actually is an update, which is there is the firelighter training, which starts tomorrow with an information session. It's basically a prescribed fire 101 course to help people safely and effectively participate in prescribed burns. So it's open to anyone, regardless of your experience level, or it can be a refresher if you haven't been on a burn recently. And then there's a field day in Solano on Saturday, the 29th. And no, it is not too late to register. And I'm going to put the link in the chat right now. And there's a bunch of people signed up for it, which is really cool. So I'm just going to share my screen and show you the flyer, which what you would see if you click the link. So here's a picture of us doing our burn in, well, maybe not. I thought I knew where that was, but I'm not going to say. But yeah, it's in Napa, Solano, and Yolo counties. And there is a virtual part. There's a couple of recordings that is not necessary, but advised for you to watch. Any questions on that? Okay, the other update, the good old chipper day. There was one yesterday, and there might be another one Friday. So people are cutting their veg, and chipping is a great way to deal with it, especially this time of year when you don't want to burn it. Our address line program's been chugging along. We get a few requests every month, so it's looking good out there. I know that our community fire safe councils are trying to bring their sign compliance to 100%. So keep up the good work, you guys. We're here. And then Allie will be she's working on a mailer to send to folks in the high fire areas, including Dunnigan and Samora, with more information on our program and about the Fire Safe Council, and to remind folks that the chipper program is still going. Yes, it is still funded. So keep up the good work. And that is it for the Yolo RCD. So I did see Karen on here if you want to give an update from Solano RCD.
Yeah. Hi, folks. A lot of our updates are, as usual, kind of shared with the Yolo County RCD updates. I will offer just a bit of additional clarification that firelighter training does not involve the use of live fire.
Good point. Thank you.
I'm going to repeat that. The firelighter training does not involve the use of live fire. So if anyone out there is concerned about like, oh, are we teaching people to go around willy-nilly lighting fires in a season where you don't want to be burning? No live fire. Rest assured. It's no fun if that's what you like to do, but it's also clarification that needs to be made sometimes. The other updates, we are working on getting our all of the last remaining ducks in a neat little row for our post-fire tree removal work in Pleasance Valley down in Solano County. The very last piece is falling in place, and we are excited for that to finally be something we can make happen for the landowners down in that area. This is post-fire from 2020, the LNU Lightning Complex fires. And the PBA updates that Tanya already shared. We are working on getting things put together for some roadside fuel reduction work down in the Pleasance Valley area. And they're back within the office. Transition plans are happening for me to be exiting the RCD and a new hire to be coming in. So hopefully there will be another update about that, more concrete, at the next Yolo County Fire Safe Council meeting. The last Solano County Fire Safe Council meeting, I'm kind of double dipping on the updates here, was on August 5th. Those ones are quarterly, so the next one will be on Wednesday, November 4th. That's it for Solano.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to the community fire safe councils and Napa Firewise, I actually forgot to ask you guys something. So in my coordinator report, I mentioned that Caltrans does not have the staff to provide traffic control for our work along Highway 128 for a shaded fuel break on the south side, which is a bummer. And remember, we haven't spent that much out there because we've been using the Delta crew, which is a very affordable way to get things done. And I'm wondering if folks how would you feel about us paying for an outside traffic control, which because it requires a pilot car, because of the blind curves, et cetera, could run about $2,600 a day. That would come out of the early action funds. Is that something I should pursue?
Tanya, about how many days do you think would be required?
Oh, good question. I'm thinking 2. That's all we need to get into the full maintenance phase.
And
It's a little hard to stomach because it's been free.
Yep.
But I mean, it's such a high rate of ignitions right through there. And I mean, it seems to me like that would be a good investment if it's money that we already have that's going to be used for essentially, it's going to be used for a project. This seems like a pretty good one.
Yep. And maintaining the work is sort of key to getting the full benefit.
Yeah, absolutely.
For longer.
Okay. All right.
And if we used the money for the outside traffic control, is there something in particular that would be taking it away from, like, is there an opportunity we'd be losing, or?
Not necessarily. I mean, if you remember the project list, everything had sort of a guesstimate of how much it might cost, and that one was really high because it was a huge project and slow and painful. And then we got connected with the Delta Camp crews, and so I mean I could add it all up, but it's 5 figures still, and I think I had budgeted or guesstimated 6 figures. So
I'm in favor of using the money for that. I think it's a really important thing to maintain.
Okay. I will continue to investigate and see if there's any other local agencies that may be able to do it as well.
And I wouldn't want Caltrans to just assume that we can do this going forward.
I will not stop asking them.
Excellent.
Yeah, they're moving up the chain, but they've been very consistent with their answers. So, okay. Well, thanks for that. I will continue to pursue that. Our local fire safe councils. So, Jonathan, can you give us a report from Cape Valley?
I probably should say no report, but we did have one last vegetation management project actually we did 2 in July. One that we had to come back to because of all that late rain, and another one that was new, but probably won't be. Yeah, it was somebody needs a little extra work that probably won't need. It would be able to maintain it in the future. It was just a lot of bodies make short work.
Mm-hmm.
Until later on in the season, that's done for the year, but we definitely went longer than we normally did.
Yeah, thank you. That's a lot of work. Shelby, are you still here from Calusa?
I'm here.
Anything to report?
Well, I am the fire program coordinator. The fire program manager, Kurt, has applied for like over $15 million in grants in the last like 6 weeks, as many of you are also doing in your organizations. It's like the gates all open at the same time. That's even just that, those applications are exciting for our program, which did not have an employee before Kurt and I were hired. So that is exciting. We had a Coosa County Fire Safe Council meeting in July, at the end of July, and we're still in the capacity building phase at our Fire Safe Council. We would, for a few meetings, we didn't have a quorum. So we would love to see our membership grow a bit, but that would also mean that more people would be required to attend to meet the quorum. But our next meeting is in November, and things are just moving along there. We are also recipients of the county coordinator grant from California Fire Safe Council, and that through that program, we've been able to complete what we've called a fire evacuation guide, which is it's a 20+ page document that just supports residents' education and preparedness for fire resilience and evacuation, all the way from like know your zone, sign up for alerts, make a plan, pack a go bag, to zone 0 information, defensible space and home hardening information. We got a lot of good feedback from the council saying that's way too much information. No one's going to pick that up. It's intimidating. People don't have that kind of time or attention span. So we're probably going to reformat that into some sort of like little trifold brochure with evacuation specific information, fire and evacuation preparedness information specifically. So these are the kinds of projects that we have the opportunity to work on now with this county coordinator grant, but we're also working on a short, small grant from coalitions and collaboratives, which is a pass-through for the U.S. Forest Service. And we, through that program, are conducting defensible space inspections, and we also have funds to support residents with clearing defensible space. It's been a bit surprising how little interest we've had in the program, but that just means that I need to do a better job at outreach. So of course you all are in different places, but if you know anyone in Coast County, would love to do a defensible space inspection and talk with them about how we can support their property improvements for defensible space. And we participated in the National Night Out that was hosted by Williams Fire 2 weeks ago, and it was good for us to have a presence there. We didn't get a lot of traction, but it's always good to just be a presence in the community and for people to know that they have an RCE in their county. So yeah, that's a bit about what we've been up to in the last little bit. Thanks for the opportunity to share. As always, it's good to be here. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Lori, do you have anything to update from over the hill?
Sorry, having a little trouble
over the Blue Ridge.
Yeah,
that sounds better.
Well, Hot off the press, we've just, if you don't know, we've been working a lot in the eastern side of Napa County. We set up a new fire safe council in the Knoxville Blue Ridge area. So that's Knoxville to the most northern part, and then Blue Ridge all the way down the eastern part of Lake Berryessa. So we've been working with them. We had a community kickoff to just start talking about projects, engaging, Bureau of Reclamation and others to just kind of talk about the land and the issues there. And then yesterday, I was speaking with someone who's interested in the most southern part of we call Berryessa South, of setting up a fire safety council there. So we will be completely covered with fire safe councils in the east. The way that Napa works is at some point, this predates me. I've been with Napa Firewise for 2 years, dividing up the county into 30 fire safe councils, and then all together they partner. We have leadership meetings. We act as sort of the 501(c) for all of them and develop projects that cross fire safe council boundaries, but work within fire safe councils. And so this means that we really have engaged communities in the whole eastern part of the county, which I think is going to be so important as we go forward. So I think that's an interesting update that this group would want to hear about. We're also working down in Carneros in American Canyon, which abuts Solano. We're working on getting a fire safe council started. We have a lead, but we're trying to work with the city to determine timing on a CWPP. So it's a little more complicated when you get cities involved. So that's sort of the border issues that might be of interest to this group.
Right. So if you can see my screen, this, if you're not familiar with geography, it's all this area in here.
Yep. All there and then down around the bottom of the lake.
And around here.
Yep.
Yeah, because fires will come over the ridge, or we might send some fire to you. But
I'm sorry, what did you say that area is called?
The northern part at the tip of Lake Berryessa is referred to as Knoxville because there's a Knoxville wildlife area up in there, managed I think by Fish and Wildlife, and then the eastern part is called Blue Ridge. So Knoxville Blue Ridge. That is one. It is the behemoth. It is our Alaska of fire safe councils. Most of our fire safe councils look more like New Hampshire, but this is our Alaska. And then down at the bottom there is Berryessa South. There's that little piece, right in there. And so we did not have a fire safe council in that area. So we're just starting. I mean, literally the conversation was yesterday. I haven't even told our CEO yet. So hot off the press.
Very exciting. Thank you. I see that Pleasant Valley and Solano Fire Safe Council are not here, but West Winters is, and they have lots of interesting things to report.
Okay, so I'm Don Hutchins. We've just been working on several initiatives. One is figuring out the evacuation routes for our area because we are somewhat landlocked with only one road in and out for the Golden Bear portion of our area. And part of it was we've got some great help identifying one of the new owners of one of the properties that used to be owned by PG&E that was going to be part of our evacuation route. So we're still trying to track that down. We are still working on defensible space, working on getting everyone's clearing around everyone's propane tanks, and kind of doing an informal survey to see what areas and what residents need help, that we can actually go in and help them. If we can't talk them into getting the work done, that we can actually do some of the small scale stuff ourselves. We're also working on the green signs, getting compliance up on those. With a lot of people that have ordered them and haven't put them up. So we're trying to push that. Jack Snyder was nice enough to write a letter that we sent out to our homeowners association about the green signs and the importance of them. So we're hoping that we'll get an uptick in people ordering those and also installing the ones that they already have. That's mainly it. Then the other big thing we're starting is the grazing cooperative. We've got 5 properties that are signed on to start that process up. We just got a budget done here last week, and once we get that, we'll submit our funding. So hopefully we can get some of the money paid back for some of the expenses. But we've got, I think, 20 sheep that we're planning on ordering from KPay. So, and that's pretty much it for me.
That's excellent. And Chief Snyder wrote an awesome letter.
Yeah, really helpful letter. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions about any reports?
I would say we have had some mild amount of interest in grazing in our county. So thanks for including that, Don. We don't really have the in-house expertise at this point to advise on something like a prescribed grazing uh, association like some other places have. And I don't think we have a sort of critical mass for moving any grazing projects forward. But since folks are coming to us asking about it, I just want to put some feelers out. If anyone has any kind of like lessons learned or best practices that they want to send along, that would be great. I also know that that the herders are there's been a kind of pause on grazing in the state because of the labor laws around the herders. So I am aware that that's happening, and I think as those things get ironed out, grazing will. I trust that it will sort of return to an affordable fuels management strategy. But all in all, just to say I welcome any like tips or lessons learned or best practices from others who've sort of like built something like this on their own before.
Well, one thing I would say, Shelby, that I realized is when we first started getting into the grazing cooperative, we assumed we needed to get a large number of properties on the project. And what I learned after talking to Solano, right across the creek from us, they have a grazing cooperative. They've started, I think, a year or two ago, and I learned from them is that it's actually better to start small. I think they started off with I think they have 5 or 6 residents on theirs, so you don't really need a critical mass. A lot of people can turn it down, but if you can get it started, in fact, they started out with I think 5 or 6 families, and they've kept it that way. They've had some of the people that didn't sign on originally come back to them and said, "Hey, I want to sign on now because I see how it's working. It's working great for you guys, and I want to sign on." They actually told them, "No, we're not taking on anyone new at this time. You might want to set up your own project. Another five properties that they get together and put it together." But they found that, with 20 sheep moving around 5 properties, that was kind of maxed out. Plus just the organizational, moving the sheep, all of that. It made it really simple with, 5 properties. And when you get to, 10 properties, it's just a lot more work. Plus you're going to need a lot more sheep. So I guess my one thing to say that I learned is don't feel bad when everybody doesn't just sign on. As long as you've got a small group, that's a great way to get it started.
Okay, thanks, Don. I'll just ask one more question. I'm conscientious of time here. In this grazing cooperative, are the cooperative members responsible for all the herding and tending and fencing and all of that?
Yeah, everybody does it. You basically are moving the sheep, from each property to the next, and then somebody else takes over at that property. So, and you move the electric fencing. It's really simple to put up. Sarah Kaiser can do a seminar on how to put those up, and really helpful. Super simple. Even if the ground's dry, you can just use a electric drill and just drill up. Have a drill bit on there, just drill it and drop your post in each little hole, and it's really simple to put up, and yes, everybody kind of manages themselves on each property.
I was just going to mention we talked to Sarah Kaiser as well over here in Napa, and we had her do a workshop, and she has, I think, as I understand it, a grant to help people set up collaboratives. And she has a lot of guidance and documents. I don't know if you've engaged with her at all, but it was really helpful. So I don't know if you've already, for us, we spoke with Corey Carlson, who's a grazer here, and then we had Sarah Kaiser from, and talking through like all the different models, things to think about, small versus large, owning versus renting, how you set it up, how many, types of animals you'd need, with just a lot of different interesting decision trees. So just thought I'd mention that.
Okay, yeah, I know Sarah. I don't know if she knows me, but I do appreciate the feedback, everyone, and I will reach out to Sarah, and I appreciate you all sort of like herding me along in the right direction.
Thank you.
Well,
all right, bye, Ian. Okay, one more thing. We actually need to decide if another month with 5 Wednesdays.
right. Yeah. So item 8, set the next meeting and then adjourn. So the September 23rd or 30th.
For what it's worth, I'm not available on September 30th, so I'd prefer the 23rd.
I think the way our calendar's set up is every 4th, so that would avoid some confusion. Or maybe it would
I would
cause
love
more.
it if we just went to like every 4th Wednesday.
Me too.
Well, I'm sure we could. That's probably a discussion for another time with some housekeeping items. But for now, it sounds like the consensus is September 23rd. So if someone wants to make a motion setting the meeting and closing the meeting.
Sure. I don't know if you need a motion that our next meeting be September 23rd and that we adjourn this meeting.
I'll take it.
All right, there you go.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Okay, all in favor or any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. See you on September 23rd.
All right, thank you
Thanks.
all.
I guess I didn't do nays.